Hey, I'm Nicole Ferraro, a contributing editor at Light Reading. Welcome to What's the Story, a short podcast where we take a step back from the most significant topics in telecom to tell you the latest news, how we got here, what it all means, and what to expect next. This week on the show, we're talking with Omdia principal analyst James Crawshaw about the evolution of OSS. Omdia has a new report out about the OSS market, projecting that OSS will see 6.5% growth in 2021. James is here to talk more about what's driving that growth, what the evolution of OSS and the role the cloud is playing in that evolution means for the industry at large, and what's likely to happen next. James, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Nicole. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. So, what is the story with OSS? Can you give us a bit of background on the pandemic's impact on the market this year and why Omdia is projecting growth for OSS in 2021?
The market's down this year, in line with overall spending on telecom technology. The industry itself, the revenues that the service providers generate, they're also in decline this year, and so everybody's sort of tightening their belts a little bit. There's still the 5G rollouts going ahead, but they have been slowed down somewhat. And a knock-on impact of all of that is that OSS-related investments have also been delayed. They're not cancelled. These things just get pushed out a little bit, and hence the decline this year in revenues that we're expecting, but a bounce back next year because 5G is going to happen. We're all assuming that some sort of vaccine is created that solves the COVID-19 problem, and we're all able to get back to life as normal. And people are going to want to go around waving their mobile phones, looking at cat videos. And so that's why we need 5G, so they can watch those cat videos super fast. And to support all of that, they need new operational support systems, whether it's service assurance, service fulfillment, to enable all of the whizzy magic, the network slicing and things like that are going to enable new use cases, hopefully tapping into new revenue streams from enterprise and industry, and as I say, you need management systems at the top to sort of kind of make all that work.
Okay, gotcha. So it's really the introduction of 5G that's helping to propel the market.
Right, yeah, that's the mega theme, and it's driving the overall spending in the industry. There is also ongoing maintenance, retiring of legacy systems, consolidation of systems. Telecom operators, they do mergers and acquisitions, and then they end up with a whole spaghetti of different IT systems, and eventually they say, look, this is just too painful and costly. Let's rationalize, and that all often leads to a new system being deployed. Which, although they need to spend the money to get that new software up and running, it leads to lower operating costs longer term, and hence pays for itself over a number of years.
Gotcha. Okay. So, what role is the cloud playing in the evolution of OSS? And what would you say that investment in the OSS market for next year and going forward means for the telecom industry at large? What does it change? How does it alter the focus?
So cloud, yeah, everybody is and has been talking about cloud for some time, and it's all about hosting software in other people's servers. Boiling it down to the very bare basics of it, and OSS are software systems that typically today are running in the telecom operator's own private data centers, and a lot of those will continue to run in-house, but they are experimenting with using public cloud, perhaps for certain applications, like perhaps analytics, for example. So imagine you are an operator that's got a business in multiple countries around the world, and you have some sort of central IT and analytics team that's trying to come up with use cases and help solve business problems in all of those different countries around the world. Well, you need a common place to share data and to do the analytics, etc. And so that's a sort of a great example of where they might run that analytics and store data in public cloud. Other stuff, sort of back-end processing, or stuff that talks to the network itself and gets switches to switch on to enable a new customer, that's probably going to continue to run in the operator's private data center. But newer things that come along could potentially run in the cloud. And where the action is at the moment for telecom software is in mobile core. So a lot of the public cloud companies, AWS, Azure, etc., they're all trying to get operators to use their systems, their platforms, to run mobile core software. Not necessarily all of it, but perhaps a part of it, or perhaps mobile cores that are set up dedicated to a particular enterprise customer. And that customer might only need it for a short space of time. So you don't want to go out and buy a whole load of servers to have that capacity in-house. If it's only a sort of short-term need, maybe a week, maybe a month, whatever, best to use public cloud. So the public cloud vendors, they've all got the capability to host mobile core applications. Some of them, even like Microsoft, has gone as far as to buy mobile core software companies. I'm thinking here of Metaswitch and Firm Networks. But others like AWS have simply gone out and poached the brightest minds from the telecom industry so that they can go and talk to the CTO office at the highest level and understand exactly what the intricacies are of those mobile core applications and give them reassurance that they will work in the public clouds. And so that's kind of where the action is already. I think we saw something recently from Telefonica Deutschland talking about putting part of its mobile core for 5G into public cloud. And that will drag through other software applications as well. So OSS, not necessarily, makes a lot of sense to run a lot of it in public cloud today. Certain things, like if you've got a service assurance or a network monitoring application, if you've got a monitoring application that's monitoring mobile core, and that's running in public cloud, then clearly you want the monitoring solution to run in public cloud alongside it. So that's where you could see OSS get dragged into public cloud, with mobile core being at the very much at the bleeding edge.
Okay, so looking ahead with these projections in mind and everything else that you all found in your report, where do you see new partnerships, acquisitions, or other evolutions on the horizon for the OSS market and the telecom industry at large as a result?
Yeah, so vendor M&A was one of the themes that we wrote about in the recent Omdia report about the OSS market landscape, and it was quite funny, really. Basically, all of the acquisitions that I'd noted in the OSS space over the last couple of years, bar one, I think, all of them were about service fulfillment or orchestration vendors buying a service assurance vendor in order to have the whole suite, the whole, if you like, the whole closed loop capability. So this concept of closed loop is that you're getting feedback from the network about how things are running. If there's a problem, then you send out a new instruction to change something in the network. One switch isn't working, fine, let's send the traffic through a second switch. Of course, these sort of closed loops, they exist on multiple levels, multiple layers, if you like, within the telecom network. They exist down at the hardware level within a particular device, or optical networks that got all sorts of built-in closed loop capabilities. But then what I'm talking about with an OSS lens is the management systems. So the service provisioning, the service fulfillment systems, they need to be synced up or even combined with a service assurance system to have this full closed loop. The service assurance system is monitoring the network, detecting faults, detecting performance anomalies, sending that information to a brain, an orchestrator, who then sends out new instructions to reconfigure the network to mitigate that problem. So a lot of vendors who had these service orchestration solutions or fulfillment solutions have been spending not huge amounts, but they've been buying up niche service assurance companies in order to meet that need.
Got it. Okay, great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me about this today, James. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure, Nicole. And until the next time.
Thank you so much, James Crawshaw, for taking the time to talk OSS with me today. You can find a link to Omdia's new OSS market report in the show notes for this episode. Thank you as well to our producer, Tien Fu, for making this episode, and thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, please leave us a review, share this episode with a colleague or friend. and subscribe to the Light Reading podcast for more interviews and insights from the team. That's the story for now. We'll be back next week.